men's 5,000 meters. And again, we've seen a world record here, Carson. Grant Fisher is a facility record 12:44.09, something about 44. It sounds pretty interesting. What do we see again from the guys here?
Oh man, I remember that day like it was yesterday. Valentine's Day with you up here in the booth, the entire stadium on fire. What are we looking for here? The collegiate record, Nico Young, 12:57.14 perhaps. We do have the NCAA champion, Habtom Samuel, in the building from cross country, as well as a number of All-Americans and other top contenders. As you can see, our pace schedule, looking for 62 seconds for 400 meters by Jodos Rice.
And also Parker Schneider from BU. We see him on the outside there wearing number 22 as the field comes together. But you talked about the young man from New Mexico and what he was able to do, and the move he made at the cross-country nationals really just shocked Rocky Hansen from Wake Forest. And he's like, you know, he really had no match for that. And again, twice before that, he had been runner-up, not able to deliver the goods in cross-country, but did it in resounding fashion this year in Missouri.
Yeah, and not just in cross-country, finishing runner-up twice in a row, but after winning the 10K in 2024, he had come second twice in a row over 5K to Brian Musau of Oklahoma State, who unfortunately pulled out of this race, but still, it seemed like Habtom Samuel was separated from a win, and he overcame all of those degrees of separation at Gans Creek. Just a huge moral victory for the New Mexico junior.
All right, the ladies started a little bit hot, quicker than that 4:48 piece, but brought it back home for 8 laps in. And we'll see how the guys do, scheduled to go. Again, 62 seconds or 4:08 for the opening mile, all the way through 2 to 2.5 kilometers. We see Gary Martin, who has really developed into one of the most versatile middle distance and distance runners. He came out of high school out of Archbishop Wood, celebrated as a sub-4 miler, the first ever in the history of Pennsylvania. And now he can go all the way to 10,000 meters, and it's nothing but a thing.
This is a 3:48.82 indoor miler, the second fastest collegian ever, stretching it out to 5K. He stretched it out very nicely, like you said, to 10K, closing home for 7th at Cross Country Nationals. And what he emphasized when our FloTrack crew got the chance to talk to him out in Missouri is that he knows that he's yet to run his best race. He was building towards championship season, and he's just become so much more mature and understanding of his fitness in every racing situation that he enters. This situation, no different.
Yeah, I mean, as you see him watch him running there in 3rd place, he looks more like an old school middle distance guy. He's not your prototypical really quick turnover, just a guy that looks like a miler in the 5K right now. But he has done amazing things in his career for the Virginia Cavaliers.
It was bittersweet, I will admit, not seeing Gary Martin go for the 3K like he did last year when he ran a Virginia school record in NCAA number 4 all-time of 7:36.09. But he's a great 5K runner as well. He ran 13:16.82 to win his hometown Virginia Challenge back in outdoors. So he's looking to compound that fitness with what he's shown us in cross country.
So again, Gary Martin sitting 3rd currently. And our first pace setter, Parker Schneider, has stepped off the oval, leaving it up to Jose Dos Reyes. And again, going to take this group through 4:08.
Samuel right behind him, followed by Martin, and then the NCAA bronze medalist from Cross Country Nationals, Solomon Kipchoge from Washington State. He had a great race, 28:40, his finishing time over the 10K course. Just a real consistent season throughout. He finished no lower than 3rd in all of his races. Yes, he took 2nd in a couple, but he won the Gans Creek Classic. He won the West Regionals. Just that consistency, you got to think he's in a good place fitness-wise as well.
Well, just like in the women's race, our favorite is sitting in the number 2 spot, Habtom Samuel from New Mexico, with Gary Martin behind him, and then a couple spots behind that, Marco Langon from Villanova. You mentioned him earlier in the broadcast, Carson, and we have been hearing he is in great shape. The Diodora NIL athlete running for the Villanova Wildcats.
He's just such an exciting guy to be around. I saw him yesterday. He was hyped to race today, and you got to think he's feeling extra hungry after having to make the tough decision to forego his senior cross-country season with the Wildcats. But he knows that he's been in good fitness. His workouts have been telling him that. He's been stacking the days ever since getting back to shape after missing USAs with COVID. 13, 14, 11 here last year for fourth. Looking to potentially take down Liam Murphy's school record for the Wildcats of 13, 10, 42.
All right, coming up to start finish, it will be 2K in the books at 5:16 and change. Make that 5:17 for our leader. Another 32 low 200 with Habtom Samuel, Gary Martin in second and third. And we are single file. You see all the way back through the back end of this field now, 21 runners on the oval.
So it looks like we are averaging just outside of 238 per kilometer at this stage in the game. We'll look to see how that continues.
When we look at some of the seed times, some of the PRs for these athletes, a theme sort of develops: 13 low teens. And when is it a psychological thing, breaking through to get down to the 13.0 something or 13.5 or even the 12s?
Well, if anybody has an answer to that question in this field in particular, it's Habtom Samuel, because he's the only sub 13:10 guy on the line. Ironically, he's the outdoor collegiate record holder at 13:05.87. We saw him do that at Brian Clay. But his indoor personal best from the John Thomas Terrier Classic is faster, 13:04.92. So he not only knows how to race at the championship level with all that he's been through, but he knows how to dial up a fast close.
All right, so they go through the midpoint at 6:38, so that is 13:16. Any way you slice it, may have seen Samuel making some hand gestures as he took the lead, as he was now the man on point, leading the way, all the finishers behind him. Gary Martin closest to him. That was a 31.5 last go round, the quickest we have seen.
I'm just saying, if Habtom Samuel breaks away, we better see that airplane celebration like we saw at the Cross Country Nationals. I mean, it was just so good. I talked about the moral victory, but really for all the fans that have been following NCAA distance running for the past few years, losing your shoe is something that happens more often than you probably think in cross country, but for it to happen to a guy of his stature, it's a what could have been type of scenario separating him from that 2024 title. So for him to get it done, that's what that meant for Habtom Samuel.
I was hoping we would see the baseball hat on backwards from him indoors like we did in cross country.
Hey, we got the glasses from Simeon Birnbaum, who has chosen to go without them in previous races. So, you know, we could take what we could get here.
Speaking of those wearing spectacles like myself, Gary Martin still sitting in the number 2 spot. He knows that is the place to be. He knows the man in front of him is the favorite, is a guy that he can key off of, as we are now entering kilometer number 4, 10 laps remaining.
And Gary Martin also knows that this race is half as long as Cross Country Nationals was, and that favors a guy like him. Though Samuel knows how to put on the moves at the right points, you can't shake 3:48 mile speed.
Right, and the race is far from over. We are now down to, looks like, a lead group of 6, with some separation between 6 and 7 and 7 and 8, 9, 10 and 11. So we'll see if that really plays out that way, as the runner in the number 7 spot looks like another New Mexico runner possibly.
It sure is. Dennis Kipingetich, the 3rd finishing Cowboy. In fact, we're looking at New Mexico.
Yeah.
Collins Kiprotich. I'm thinking of the Cowboy in the number 6 position. My apologies. But Dennis Kipingetich, 6th at Cross Country Nationals, was effectively 4, 5, and 6 right behind his teammates Brian Masao and Fuad Masaoudi, who we saw run in the 3K earlier. Kipingetich, he was 5th at Indoor Nationals in the 5K in 13:13.71, so he can run fast in a paced race and in a championship race.
All right, Langon now in the number 3 position. Gary Martin still sitting 2nd. He has not moved from that space this entire race, but all following Habtom Samuel. Samuel from New Mexico, again the D1 national champion in cross country. The junior, we got to look back at the field. That was Kipnevich from Oklahoma State wanted to see where the rest of the challengers were, and he saw he is at the tail end of this lead group.
You see Collins Kiprotich of New Mexico trying to close that gap. In fact, that's Evans Kiplagat, the other Lobo there.
Trying to make that a 5-man breakaway.
Precisely, yeah, he saw the top 4 breaking away, realizing that we were starting to enter elimination territory. He realizes that the race is effectively made or broken at this point.
And just not able to get there, and it looks like he is losing more ground than he is gaining now in this lap. As Martin and company look like they're really out there working it, especially our leader, Habtom Samuel.
You saw Gary shift into the outside of 1 there. Little temptation, perhaps, but he's exercising some good patience to stay tucked in behind. He knows now is not the time to unleash. He's still got 5 laps to go now.
Right, 10:34 at 4,000 meters. And I believe you said 2:38 tempo, so that brings them home in 13:12. If they're able to hold pace, but I think they're going to pick up the tempo just a little bit, at least these top 4. And again, Habtom Samuel, Gary Martin, Marco Langon, and Evans Kiplagat.
Kiplagat leading the trailers.
Excuse me.
But I think Marco Langon is probably the most important figure to have in this group right now. He's got the quickest turnover of all the runners, and he can use that to just constantly apply pressure on whoever's in front of him. We mentioned Gary Martin with what he's done over the mile. Well, Marco Langon's a prolific 1,500-meter runner, though he's outside of 350 over the metric mile, well, 1,609 meters mile rather. He's got the speed to close and determination to boot.
They are like a metronome, clicking off these 31.200 meters. Here's the quickest one we've seen, 31.2, as our national champion in cross country, Habtom Samuel. Gary Martin and Marco Langon have pulled away from the rest of this field. It is a 3-man race, with Samuel looking so machine-like and Martin really working to stay focused and stay in contact. Coming up, 3 laps remaining. Make that 12:06 on the clock. We're looking at going sub 13:10. You said Samuel was the only one in the field. We may have 2 more.
The trouble for Gary Martin and Marco Langon is that they can't make their moves as subtly. Gary Martin's just got to go for it and trust what he's got going for him.
Wow, with 300 meters to go, Gary Martin hits the gas and he is now in the lead. But those other 2 behind him, Samuel and Langon, have not given up. 1 lap to go. They got a couple lap runners ahead of them. Under 12:40, Gary Martin from Virginia, the Cavalier.
Let's see what Langon's got. Again, he's under-raced at this time of year, so impressive that he's this close. Samuel has to go to the arms. Can anybody catch Gary Martin?
Gary Martin was the first to move. Here comes Langon going on the outside. Marco Langon, Gary Martin, Samuel on the inside. Can he squeeze by? He will, but it is going to be... Oh my goodness, at the line, Langon goes down. Samuel, who is the winner? It is Samuel at 13:05.21. Marco Langon also in the 13:05s. Martin not too far behind. What a finish. Same time. So they go to the thousandths of a second as Habtom Samuel wins the 5K at BU. FloTrack Night in America. What a finish. 0.3 of a second back. Gary Martin. It looked like Martin possibly was going to take it from 300 out, but wow, what a run for home. Habtom Samuel did most of the heavy lifting after the pace setters stepped off the track, and he had the best, and he was able to squeeze by on the rail, which I can't believe he got it done.